Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, federal enforcement for real IDs begin in just a few days. Plus, May Day protests are going on throughout the country, including here in Hazard.
And we have a line of showers and thunderstorms pushing through eastern Kentucky. Details coming up.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Today is another First Alert weather day, and parts of the region are under a severe thunderstorm watch. WYMT First Alert meteorologist Eric Dean breaks down what you can expect. Eric.
That's right, severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for the northern portion of the WYMT viewing area. Here's what you can expect as we go throughout the next several hours. Strong to severe storms, certainly not out of the question. Main threats will be heavy wind, a little bit of hail, vivid lightning, and a very low chance of a spin up or two. So the typical 60-mile-an-hour wind gust, quarter-size hail will be the main threat should you go under a severe thunderstorm warning. Here's a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar right now, and we'll go ahead and pinpoint over towards the northern portion of the viewing area. You can see near Frenchburg getting in on some thunderstorm activity. Stanton as well. Same story over towards the Irvin area, and we take a look here over towards London, across portions of Laurel County along I-75, seeing some thunderstorm activity as well. We take a look at the past several hours. Notice how it started to get its act together throughout portions of eastern Kentucky, and that's what's going to be the trend as we go throughout the next several hours. No thunderstorm warnings are in play at this time, but you can see how we get to where we are now. We have a warm front that's situated to the north of us. Back behind us is a cold front. We're in that warm sector. That's why the temperatures today were in the upper 70s and low 80s. Now the question is, how long will this crazy weather last? We'll talk about that in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
All right, Eric, thank you. The Real ID Act was passed in 2005, and the time you might need one is quickly approaching. That is May 7th, next Wednesday. WYMT's Amelia Lee joins us in the studio with more about the Real ID and how it can impact you.
You might be asking yourself, do I need to get the Real ID? Well, in Kentucky, it's up to you if you do or do not want to get that Real ID. But knowing what places you can't get into without it could help you make that decision. Starting May 7th, a Real ID will be needed to get on a commercial domestic flight, get inside a military base, or into a restricted federal building. But officials tell me you can also use your passport or a military ID as an acceptable alternative, and your current ID will still be valid.
Their license is still good for voting, age-restricted purchases, proving proof of residence.
Some areas of the state have been seeing long lines for that Real ID, but that's not necessarily the case for eastern Kentuckians. Officials say the drive time could be a bigger challenge than wait times.
It is an issue, and we hear that every day. People long for the day when it was at the circuit court clerks. And we're working on things to make it easier.
Matthew Cole with the Department of Vehicle Regulation says you can schedule an appointment to get your Real ID.
We have 34 offices around the state. They can go to any one that's most convenient to them.
Cole stresses the fact that it is not a deadline to get that Real ID. You will be able to get one after May 7th if you do choose to do so.
But if they say, look, I'm not traveling anywhere in 2025, then you have time. You can get it later in the fall when things kind of quiet down, and then they're still taken care of.
When getting your Real ID, it is important to have the proper documentation. This includes proof of identity, proof of Social Security, and 2 proofs of residence. This can be your birth certificate, Social Security card, and then 2 postmarked mail items.
All right, Amelia, thank you. Well, we have links related to the different types of alternatives to the Real ID and what you need to bring if you are getting a Real ID with this story on our website, WYMT.com, and the WYMT News app. And with that May 7th Real ID enforcement date quickly approaching, Governor Andy Beshear is reminding Kentuckians this, again, is not a deadline. You can still apply for a Real ID after May 7th. The federal enforcement date just marks when the new rules take effect for air travel and federal building access. For details on how to apply or renew, you can visit idky.com. Protesters throughout Kentucky are taking part in today's May Day protests, including here in Perry County. WYMT's McKinley Calandrino is at the one in Hazard.
Steve, I'm here at the Walmart Lowe's Shopping Center in Hazard, where residents are gathered to peacefully protest for May Day. Protesters tell me they are standing up for democracy and defending their constitutional rights, while also voicing concerns about recent policy proposals. One protester says democracy is at stake.
To let people know the truth about what's going on in Washington, D.C. and all the policies that are starting to affect us here in our hometown. Democracy is dying, and whether you believe us or believe whoever, you need to find out really quick, because it's hit home.
After voting and preaching about what she believes is right, she says her last option was to stand up and protest out loud. Protesters began around 3 o'clock this afternoon, holding signs and using their voices, and they wrapped up around 5:30. In Perry County, McKinley Calandrino, WYMT Mountain News.
And we will have more about those May Day protests on Mountain News at 11. After years of planning, UK Healthcare officially opened a new obstetrics emergency unit. The 24/7 unit is designed for pregnant and postpartum patients experiencing urgent conditions, including preterm labor, high blood pressure, and bleeding. It takes the place of the old OB triage center and aims to deliver faster, more specialized care.
They should expect to see a provider really quickly when they come. They should expect to be able to get care quickly and have us work through the process of making sure that everyone is healthy.
The unit is located on the 3rd floor of Pavilion H at Chandler Hospital. The Boyle County Sheriff's Office says they received a call at approximately 3:45 p.m. yesterday that an elderly woman was suspected to be a victim of a scam after she withdrew $24,000 from her account. The woman was on her way to an ATM to transfer that money over to the scammer when authorities were able to find and help her. Sheriff Taylor Bottom says new technology tricked her to believe federal authorities were asking her for money.
Anytime the federal government calls you or talks to you, you automatically think, you know, I've got to do right.
Officials urge folks to be aware of new scams like this one. They say if someone pressures you to act in secret or say it's an emergency, it's probably not real. Today is National Day of Prayer, a time set aside for folks of all faiths to come together and reflect. Events took place throughout the country, including right here in eastern Kentucky, where communities gathered to pray for unity, leadership, and healing. On your screen now is a photo shared by the city of Whitesburg during their observance of the day, which took place on the courthouse steps. The tradition dates back to 1952 and happens each year on the first Thursday in May. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, it is Derby week, and that means all hands on deck at Churchill Downs in Louisville to prepare for the big weekend.
And we have a thunderstorm watch in effect for portions of eastern Kentucky. Details coming up.